Welcome, dear listeners, to another bone-chilling episode of Unveiling Nightmares. I'm your host, C.A. Bainham, and today we have a special guest. Guest today is none other than P.K. Baker. She's the author behind the horror in Living Carer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
That's fine. That's not a problem. Would you like to tell me a little bit about yourself and your book?
I hate talking about myself, really. I was originally born in Poland, but I moved to England 14 years ago. And I'm currently a full-time author. I've got two kids who don't always help what I'm trying to write. And just living my dream, I guess. I always wanted to write. I remember writing like stories as a kid in a little notebook. So thankfully my husband's very supportive of it as well. So I'm glad.
Good.
And I'm also a romance author, and I have a couple of books published. And it only started when I started reading horror. I was like, horror has always been my favorite genre. Yeah. So many people say do not write in multiple genres because it's just double the work, double the effort. It's not worth it. But I had this story in my head and I couldn't get it out. So I said to my husband, should I do it? I've got this story, but I don't know. People say to not do it. And then he said, well, do what makes you happy. And so that led to the book Living Carer being published, and it's now out there. People read it.
Yeah, well, that's the best way to go, isn't it? You do something that you enjoy and it just turns out the way that you want to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I couldn't even sleep because this story was just playing in my head. I was like, I just want to put it down, write it down.
Yeah, that's the way it is though, isn't it? If you've got an idea, it'll just play on you until you actually do something with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Living Carer.
So it's about a carer. It's about a girl that gets a job offer where she moves in with a client. She's currently gone through a breakup with a boyfriend, so she needed a place to stay. So this seemed like a perfect opportunity. But obviously, things that seem too good, they usually do sound too good, and I'm not that good.
Yes, right.
I mean, she moves in. Her client's not even that old, but he doesn't move. He doesn't speak. She's got to look after him. Mm-hmm. And from the first night, really, weird things start happening. And she hears noises. She hears footsteps at night, even though her client does not walk. And, well, I'm not going to say any more because that will just spoil it. But he finds out at the end the whole truth.
No problem. That's brilliant. Okay, so let's begin by delving into the darkness behind your writing. So what's the biggest influences of your work, especially when it comes to creating the unsettling narratives?
Oh, that's a hard one, I think. I think with influence, it might sound bad, but a lot of the dark themes or like subject that I think about in my books come a lot from my past and my personal experiences.
Yeah.
And I think you will find a lot, maybe not a lot, but some horror authors I've spoken to say the same things, which is very sad. But unfortunately, I think maybe that's what drives us to write the genre, to kind of put our feelings out there, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right there. It's whatever's gone in your past does tend to sort of like turn up in your writing, and that sort of like influences you a lot as well.
Yeah, like, when they sometimes say, writing a diary keeps like the anxiety and just like kind of, so you don't bottle up the feelings. Maybe that's what it is, like quite similar.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. So I'm sure the listeners are curious about any rituals or methods that you use to summon these terrifying stories. So can you share some insights to the creative process and any sort of rituals that you follow?
I mean, I'm a natural overthinker, to be honest. So all I have to do is lie down in bed, put my head on a pillow, and my mind just only opens up to all these insane scenarios.
Yeah. You keep
But
it book.
it's stuck in a scene where I'm just like, well, I'm not quite sure what to do. I don't have any ideas. I tend to kind of take a break from it, and I will either like watch some horror films or read horror books, and that usually spikes some inspiration of like, oh, imagine if that person did that, or it's just getting a bit more stories to my head so it can kind of start working again.
Yeah. It's sort of like sparks your sort of like creative process, doesn't it? When you sit down and watch something on the telly and you think, oh, hang on a minute, I can actually put that in.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so crafting horror can be quite an intensive journey. Have you faced any challenges in this genre, and how would you overcome them if you did face something?
I think that's an unpopular one, actually, because, like I said, I also write romance. That genre comes with limitations of what you can really write. So in horror, when I was writing my first book, I was a bit like, how do I know where there's a limit? Because it's a completely different genre. So I asked a few other authors who were a bit more popular,
Yeah.
And I said, how do you know when you're reaching the limit, when you're going too far with your story? And they said that there is no such thing as going too far in horror. So I kind of learned that the more messed up, the better, really.
Yeah, that's right. Definitely right.
I don't have to stop myself. I can just let it all out, and I don't have to be ashamed of it or afraid of how people. I mean, I always worry what people are gonna think, but I know there is gonna be an audience for it, and just to go with it, really.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you've got the horror, and then you've got like extreme horror, and is it splatterpunk horror? So yeah, there's no sort of like limiters with horror with what you can and cannot write. So
no, that's not. Oh god, some things I read.
yes, that's right. Okay, so your work has obviously left a mark on readers. I've seen some of the amazing reviews that you've got on Amazon. Have you got any insights into any of the reactions or experience of any of your readers? Are there any like memorable encounters that you've had, or anything that stands out to you regarding reviews?
One of another British author, his name is Jim Oldie. He's a very good friend of mine. He beta read my book, and oh god, I remember how scared I was. But then he said something that kind of stuck with other readers, because I've had some reviews that mentioned that my book is kind of like the Skeleton Key film, but with a twist.
Yeah.
And I gotta admit, I've only seen the film once and I really enjoyed it, but it definitely was not my intention while I was writing it. So when I first heard it, I thought about it. I was like, God, they are right. Like I can see the vibe that goes with it. So I kind of hope that people don't think I copied the idea, I guess, but so far people are really enjoying it. And I'm really happy with the reviews and how people are taking the book. I was really nervous.
Yeah, I mean, your reviews are brilliant. I mean, no one's mentioned anything about the Skeleton Key on there that I've seen. I mean, but even a lot of stories are the same these days. They've just got their own unique twist to them. So I suppose it's the uniqueness of the author, of what they can put into a story.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've seen many authors being like, well, how do you come up with an original idea? But at the end of the day, there is no more original ideas these days. Whatever you think of already has been thought of.
Yeah.
It's just how you can put it across that will be just, in your own way.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's the uniqueness of the author, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, how many books do we have of haunted houses and zombies? But then, there'll be thousands of them, but they'll all be different.
Yeah, that's right. Or they're all different. I mean, it's the same with vampires as well. I mean, you've got your zombies and things, and you've got the Walking Dead. I mean, they're all similar in a tale, but they've all got that uniqueness to them. They're not exactly the same. They've all got a different story.
And that's the beauty, I think. I think it is about the books. I mean, I have my favorite themes of horrors, and to know that I can read hundreds of books like that, it makes me happy.
That's right. Okay, so I'm curious about what awaits you in the future. So have you got any teasers of upcoming projects that you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, I do have my second book, currently writing it. The only thing I can say is it's going to be very different. You know how you usually get the demonic kind of stories? Gonna be slightly like that, but at the same time, it's gonna be complete opposite.
Right, okay.
I really don't know how to explain it, but I guess you'll just have to wait and read it to find out. But yeah, I don't know how it's gonna be taking, but yeah, I will see it through, and hopefully it'll be out this year.
Fantastic. So we can look forward to seeing that in the future.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, well, that's brilliant. Well, a heartfelt thank you to you. I will be putting the details for your book in the description of the podcast. It's brilliant. Thank you very much for coming on the show. It's given us You're very welcome. Well, thank you very much for accepting my offer to come on the show. It's amazing, and I'm very thankful. Stay tuned, dear listeners, for more spine-tingling tales and dark discussions in the world of horror. Until next time, remember, the nightmares are real, and here on Unveiling Nightmares, we're crafting nightmares one tale at a time.